And we are live. There you are, Yagi. I got nervous. Nice to see you again. This is exciting. The first time we're doing this live. So hi, viewers. There's already a bunch of people popping in. So we've been doing this lean coffee thingy at the YouTube channel Agile with Jimmy, and this is the first time we're doing it live today. So we have an hour of fun, topics, questions. We're going to do some polls. And yeah, my name is Jimmy Jan Leon, Agile coach, teacher, YouTuber, author, I think. Leila.
Hi, everybody. My name is Leila Ljungberg. I'm a consultant. I work at a company called Doings, and I work with coaching, team facilitation. I'm a behaviorist with the passion in business agility.
Yage.
Nice. My name is Jagannath. Most call me Yage. I work with a lot of different things. I am jack of all trades, master of none. Anders?
I am Anders. I'm an engineering lead at Kry, the e-healthcare company, and excited to be here today.
Cool. Welcome, and welcome viewers who's watching this live or the recording afterwards. I'll hope you have fun if you're watching the stream or not. So I'm peeking here at the YouTube studio to monitor the traffic and comments, and there's already people commenting and saying hi to each other. So in a few minutes, we'll do the lean coffee things. We will bring up topics, and we will wind up the timer for 4 minutes, and then we're going to do a quick vote whether or not to add 90 seconds. But first, I would like to say thank you to all amazing Patreons for supporting the channel and my work of creating free and hopefully educational content here on YouTube. So, and a special thanks to these Patreons. There have been Patreons for a long time, and some of them are new. So, thank you all. And if you too want to support this channel, please consider becoming a Patreon, or at least click that like button and share this with your friends and colleagues. And to have some kind of interaction today, we're gonna use Mentimeter. So please open up your browser or mobile phone and head on to menti.com and enter the code displayed on the screen in the center or at the bottom here. And well, we're asking you which city you're viewing this from. We would love your questions. So please submit a question, and you can also use the Mentimeter functionality to vote on the most popular topics, and then we will cover as many as we can by the end. We will not be the only one having an opinion about the topics today. You are invited to have opinions as well, and then we will look at the votes you cast and see if we were right or wrong. And talking about being right or wrong, later on, we're going to ask your opinion on previous topics as well. So yeah, I hope Mentimeter works out. I can already see a few comments here. Oh, people are calling in from Stockholm, Calgary, Vilnius, Erlangen. Cool. So we have people from across Europe, and cool. All right. So, do you feel ready? Should we go?
Go.
All right. All right, let's dive in. First topic of today. 20 years ago, 20 middle-aged white male developers gathered and wrote this thing called the Agile Manifesto 20 years ago. So we're approaching the end of 2021. So I thought it would be appropriate to wrap up this year's of Lean Coffee by asking ourselves, is this Agile Manifesto still relevant today, or is it a relic of the past and it has evolved beyond then? How do you feel? Is the Agile Manifesto still relevant today? Yes or no? All right. Yeah, we all agree. Anders, you get to go first. I'm winding up the timer here.
I still think it's relevant. Of course, the world and the industry has moved on, or it's not as groundbreaking anymore. But I still see a lot of people struggling with, like, how do we describe Agile, or how do I describe what we're trying to achieve here? And sometimes it's just go back to the manifesto and go back to those like this over this. It's pretty simple what we're trying to achieve by being more agile.
But I feel it's become obvious for me that it is a relic of the past, because it's so focused on software development, and I guess that what was Agile was back then. But today it's so much more, and the principles, you still have to kind of spend time to decipher them, to understand them.
But Jimmy, maybe the whole world is software development.
I agree. I think they're applicable to like many areas. You just need to translate those words. And I think the interesting thing is, a lot of things has changed during 20 years. We're navigating a pandemic and, everything unlikely that is happening. But I think that when we have principles on these conceptualized level, it actually has the possibility to live on for a long time, because they haven't narrowed down too deep into specifics. So they can actually stay alive and be relevant still today.
I think that's the powerful of these type of manifestos, as you say, because it's based on human interaction, and as soon as we don't get robots, it's going to be the same problem all over. And also, this is also the problem with manifesto. It's so many interpretations open up. That's also why it's divided, and you have a lot of frameworks from it. But it's also the power of it. It's almost like whatever religious book you read. You can live for long because you can read in so many things into it.
Yeah. But if you would start to explain Agile for someone new who's curious, so you're working with this Agile thing, would you start with Agile Manifesto, showing them the slide?
Sometimes I do, but more for historical reasons. But I actually think it's, if you just cut to the we deliver more business value faster, earlier, it's a pretty good start to start trying to describe what you do in Agile, and then you can get into the details on how you do that. And the how has really changed with both, as you say, spreading it outside of software and the capabilities we have in software. It's possible to move so much faster today than we could back.
I think the implementations of frameworks, they will be outdated faster than this one.
Because they're too specific.
Yeah.
But I also think when you practice, you also, I like the abstraction level that the principles are on, because when you try to learn and adapt this mindset, you need to move in between the practical stuff of doing and trying it out. What does actually individuals and interactions over processes and tools, what does that actually mean? And when I work, for example, with HR team, we translate that into, so we need to build company rituals that actually focuses on creating qualitative meeting time for people. That is what it actually means. So you can work in between the practical application and the abstract level to really deepen your focus and your mindset and try to apply it to different situations. And since I'm doing that still 20 years later, I think it's relevant.
Should we see what? Yeah.
What is
all? I want to give a shout out to the format of using this. We will believe in this over that, and if you ever work on any documents with values or how your company should be working, I really recommend using the format because it's pretty good.
We have this one again.
Our discussions.
One more. I want to be. Oh, good. Hush. I want
for
to see
you,
what.
Jimmy, for you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really think the. This is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So 71% said, very, very relevant. 29%, 1/3. No. Yeah, roughly 1/3 said unsure. No one. Nope. And did we have some comments as well? Oh yeah. Okay. This is not readable, so let me check this. Read this. So we had the comments we are still uncovering better ways of developing software, and we're still helping us. If we read the values and principles as an open list, there's a lot of space to extend it by new discoveries. Yeah. It's a good base, but sometimes too software specific. What about requirements in? I forgot to put a timer here. What about requirements in meeting culture and communication needs to fit for all domains in a project or venture, sales, financial, development, operations? Yeah. But I remember we had a rant about Agile 2.0 or whatever it was called, and it's still alive and kicking.
Tornado!
And I liked what you said about that, Anders. That it was just a super long list of things you should do. It didn't provide any guidance.
Yeah.
So that's I guess that's really powerful about. I agree. That's what's powerful about Agile Manifesto. So when you have options, follow this.
They force you to.
It doesn't say
think.
this is good and this is bad, because that's usually easy to find something bad that you don't believe in. But forcing yourself to go.
I think about complexity theories, like we talk about, the VUCA world and change and uncertainty that we are living in and we are navigating in. And when you talk about that, you also talk about, like, if you want to figure out solutions that are really simplistic, they will be really hard to apply on a complex problem. So the Agile Manifesto is good in that way, that it is at a concept a little bit more of an abstract level, because then you can actually apply that to complex problems that can help you to navigate when you have a lot of data and complexity that you need to take into account. Because if we make things a bit too simplistic, then it will really fall short and not really become valuable, and also very fast outdated.
Time is up. So should we be happy with that one and see what's next? I love my setup. I have so many buttons to press. So, all right. So the next topic, and it reads, what does a healthy level of stress and pressure look like? And some context. I'm working with different clients, and met one client where several of the leaders were convinced that teams and the people need to feel some kind of pressure in order to focus and be motivated. Okay. Fine. But on the other hand, well, if we don't know what we're aiming for, why should I care? But on the other hand, we're talking about psychological safety and sustainable pace. If we're just pressuring, it's going to break down. So this is not a yay or nay. I'm more open. But what does a healthy level of stress and pressure look like? Or does it even exist?
So I just, first of all, like, these words really rubs me the wrong way. I get a little bit like itchy. I'm thinking there might be other words that I would use rather than stress and pressure. It's not really on my motivational quotes side of things. But I guess, it's subjective and what you could put into it. We all know about, like, long-lasting stress being not very good. But I also think, like, pressure, for me, that word, that implies so much external motivation, like somebody outside who is, like, literally putting pressure on. And for me, from a behaviorist perspective, that is not what motivates people. That won't make people last for long, go to work, manage some kind of stress load. So I have a challenge with those words in itself, because I don't put very much positive reinforcements into either the word stress or the word pressure.
No, healthy level of pressure. That whatever it is, it's good, I guess. And then I think about stress, and then I think about stress factors, animals that we are, why are we stressed, flee, survival mode, and those kind of things. Honestly, I don't even like the word of having a good stress level or a good stress, because it can't be good, because we are not living in a world, not we, many people are still, but I know the COVID, but in a threatening situation, we just fake that all the time. And that can't be good, honestly. It's not like tigers hunting us and we're still feeling stressed because sprint goals or whatever. Life is not that hard in many cases. Sorry for those that have tough. And that's what I don't mean that, but there is not a good stress level. Stress is bad.
You who are suffering, life is not that hard. Move on.
Stress is not good.
So from a positive angle, then, if you try to flip it, what does healthy pressure look like, or whatever word you choose?
I really think that, I mean, I agree with you, Leila. The word pressure is probably the wrong word here, but I think it is important when people feel that the leaders also care about what happens in the organization, and there's a like shared sense of purpose. Like we believe that what we're working on here is important, and there is we have impact on like others, whether it's customers or like the people you're working for, but the things we do matter. And that sense of like purpose and drive and to some degree like stress is really good, but then it should be like, it should come from within, not from like outside pressure, I guess.
I was also thinking about another angle on pressure. If I gonna try to flip it and define it from another perspective, it could also be tension. Like we could talk, I think we had those discussions before, like there can be healthy tensions in between different contrasts. Like for an example, product development team and commercial sales team, those teams could have a healthy sense of tension that could be interpreted like pressure, that could impact, okay, we want you to do this for our customers. Okay, but we have these possibilities, and this is what we can do with the technology, with the product we have. And those discussions and that pressure, that tension can be productive, and it could go into like having accountability and also having others accountable, like a healthy perspective on that. Maybe.
There's some good comments here from the viewers, which are like, oh, it's about to ring. Tomato. Yeah, okay, cool. Tomato time, and the clock has restarted. So one comment read, instead of pressure and stress, how about engagement and motivation to meet a goal as a team? And I think whenever a team is invited to set their own goals, I think that's positive pressure. They've decided themselves, and hopefully they can renegotiate that. The other one rings true to me too. Whatever level takes you from comfort zone to growth zone. Because if there is no expectations from anyone, or you don't trying to accomplish something great, you're just chilling, right? Then you're not pushing yourself or learning. So I believe there is some healthy level of pressure, but it's like you said, Leila, whenever it comes from the outside, it comes with the foul smell.
Yeah, and also the risk of not being long lasting, like external motivation. We know that lives for a short period of while, but that's an interesting take, like whatever puts you outside of your comfort zone. So I'm thinking about growth and how people grow and how that could happen. So you have, your positive experiences of growth, when it might be like, oh, I got myself a mentor and I was like learning this on YouTube because I was listening at Agile with Jimmy, blah, blah, blah. And then you have maybe also these uncomfortable situations that you've been in during periods of your life. I was at work, there was this high pressure delivery, and I really had to learn these things to get to that point. So I can take that one, like going outside of your comfort zone.
Time flies fast when you're live.
How do you feel today, Jimmy? It's crazy.
It's crazy. All right, cool. So that's a wrap for this one. I'm not sure I'm having a healthy stress level myself, because I have 7 windows. I have OBS Studio, a live stream to monitor, and so I'm not. I don't know.
But it's not external.
It's internal.
Right. You did this to yourself.
I did it totally to myself. Damn it. All right. So no. So if you just joined, there's a Mentimeter. You can enter, and you can submit your opinions on the questions we cover. Please submit questions as well that you would like us to discuss or answer later on. So let's see if we have some results here. So next topic is I thought this would be fun. Were we right? So we've covered a lot of topics, and we had yay and nay questions. So I asked you viewers on the Menti here to give your opinion on things we've covered earlier. So let's see. Oh, what? No reply.
So are we supposed to remember what we thought about the topic several weeks ago?
Yeah.
Several months ago.
It depends.
We don't have any replies to this. Maybe I should give it a minute. So there's a bunch of people viewing here. So if you scroll forward to a few slides in, we would love your votes on questions like Agile coaching is primarily a competence and not a role. And Well, if you're the first one to vote, you're going to represent 100% of the votes. So be quick at it. Let's see if we have some votes here. What else? Or should we while waiting for that, maybe we can jump to the Patreon question for today. Hopefully we'll have some comments on our previous topics. So the Patreon question of today is from Mahesh. So thank you, Mahesh, for sending this one in. I slightly rephrased it, and I will elaborate a little bit on it once we've voted. I'm going to wind up the timer here. I'll be prepared with the timer. So yeah, the question is will Scrum reduce the customer's focus and stubbornness on our estimations? So just how many hours will it take, or why this long, or in number of hours? So will doing Scrum automatically, magically, somehow, gradually reduce the customer's focus on our estimations, and maybe instead focus on forecasts or deliverables or value or impact? How do you feel? Thumbs up, thumbs down, and Jagge?
If done right, yes.
Okay, if done right. Jagge, go. You start.
Yes. No, because of course, Scrum, I think that's an interesting topic, why Scrum is so popular method. And it's very easy to wind up in this hour, yellow beans, estimation, whatever. But it's one thing that often is forgotten in Scrum, and that is probably the most important, I would say, maybe sprint goals. And that's how I see Scrum successful. If you talk about the goals you want to reach, not how many tickets or hours, that's how you measure success. That could be the impact of what you're doing that whatever period of time you're working. If you set that in the beginning and work towards that, I think it's much easier to reach impact and not hours. But often that's a boring and difficult thing to do, so you skip over that and move on to a list of things. I've done it myself, so I know. So that's how I see it. Do a sprint goal and you succeed. Is much higher chance to succeed in this area.
Yeah. For Anders, you had thumbs up as well?
Thumbs up, yeah. I'm saying yes just because I've seen it really happen at least once when we worked with a pretty large customer, and it was one of these, like, we've delivered a big solution and they came back with a list of requirements that they felt weren't met and said, well, in 1 year by contract you need to have fixed all of those. So it started out with this like extreme like requirement driven development that they had like a list of 100 things. And we started working on the first 2 of them. But over like the first few sprints of scrumming and coming to the customer and showing them things and teaching them that they could actually like ask for more or change their opinion about things or focus, like prioritize what felt most important to them at the time. We ended up just spending time on like the first 5 things on the 190 long bullet list of bullets that they wanted to work on. Yeah. And they were super happy after this year of delivering like more business value than we ever thought was possible. Yeah. And really moved direction, like discussions in a different direction.
I have the same experience. When you're kind of doing Scrum by the book, you have demos, you show what's working, you invite for feedback, and you invite for the customers or stakeholders to actually have an opinion on the order of the backlog and what they want to see next. And once they get the hang of that, they start to realize, and you can start to having the value discussion instead of just the hour discussion. So I guess it requires some discipline and stubbornness, but to get it going. But Leila, you were sideways, right?
Yeah. I think it's really cute that you all think that this method is actually creating this value. But I'm going to tell you what is. No, but jokes aside, so I think the thing is, especially when I'm listening to you and what you're telling me, is that you have actually managed to create trust in between you and your customer. And I think that is key. Like Scrum is a good method that has rituals that pushes for those trusting discussions. But it is also just a method. And I think the core thing here is trust. I also think you can have a really crappy relationship with a customer and do Scrum by the book, but they won't trust you. And then they will still going to focus on hours, because the focus on hours is a micromanagement focus, which is due to lack of trust. So
and if the starting point is a contract with the requirement specification and number of hours. Okay, Jagge, what's your?
I just want to comment on that, and I agree with what you're saying. But if we go back to the
all right, easy.
If we go back to the Agile Manifesto questions before, the Scrum creates from. It's need to be a trust people skills. Otherwise, it's not Scrum and Agile. So it's not a Scrum by the book then, in my opinion. It's just a worthless tool you put in. So otherwise, you're not doing Scrum if you don't follow the Agile principles and ideas, aka if you do it right, it is exactly as you say. You can have a car, but who's driving it needs to be the right driver.
You're saying it's not Agile if you're not building trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be individual in interactions of a process.
I'm done, Anders. I'm done. That's the mic drop.
Our viewers are torn. So we had 25% yes, 38 it depends, 38 no. If you're mathematicians, I suspect you can figure out how many people have voted. So yeah,
I'm not, but please tell me more.
So yeah, a little bit all over the place, but we have some good comments. Which aren't readable, so I won't share that. I think Scrum introduces a lot of opportunities to discuss things beyond cost, hours, and estimations. Yes, and I think if you're doing the habit of demo and review, you are opening up and inviting to those conversations. Good comment. If customers can understand the process and see the value being delivered, maybe. Yeah. If the customer understands the value the team delivers and is himself measured and on impact and given a budget based on it. Yeah. If they're giving budget on hours, one thing. If they're giving budget to accomplish an impact, that's another thing. Good ones. Time again.
Crazy tomato.
Crazy tomato. All right. So, no. I'm screwing this up. So now we can do this one because we have gotten some opinions or some votes. So yeah. Cool. So let's look at this. The first one was from the past. I think this was from our first meetup or first session we had. Link Coffe. Agile coaching is primarily a competence and not a role. And I kind of think we agreed that it's a competence and not a role, our viewers agree 100%. Any reactions, comments? You remember this conversation?
Yeah.
Briefly.
I seem to recall me thinking it was a bit of both. It's definitely a competence that you bring into other roles as well, but it is. I mean, it can also be a role, and it's an effective role in many organizations.
Yeah, but it can't be a role without the competence, but it can be competent without the role.
Yes.
Yep.
Good one.
Yes.
Next one we covered was from session 2 we had. Are certifications still driving a positive behavior change or not? I like to be. There's some mistake in my Menti typing here. But do you remember what we felt about this? Was it true or false? Did they drive positive change? I think we were quite positive.
No.
I think it was like this.
I think not.
But for large traditional companies, it might still have some value.
The viewers are on our side. They're not convinced. 100% no, they're not driving positive change. It's a bit harsh, but I think I need to rewatch our discussions, see if I can recollect.
But you're still good in doing trading. I like you still in your tradings.
Do trading, Jimmy. Give them certifications. Go.
Yeah, I like to remember that you went on one of your famous rants on this one, and this really unleashed your inner anger. Does innovation workshops work at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Innovation is hot topic. Huh?
Yeah. We keep coming back to it.
Yeah, we have talked about innovation managers too. And I just had an
innovation managers running innovation workshops. Oh my God.
I think we need to do an innovation workshop.
I did, but it was an abstract one on innovation itself. So we didn't
A
innovate.
certified innovation manager running certified innovation workshops. There you have something, Jimmy.
Sell it. Sell it.
All right, people are catching up. We have currently six votes on this one. Do you want to see what
Yes.
our viewers thought about this one?
Yes.
They're very positive. Innovation workshops work, but it depends what you read into it. Is a Google Design Sprint an innovation workshop? I don't know. You could call it that. Prototyping, hack days, is that innovation workshopping? So if you take a positive angle on it, definitely. But
I like what you said last time we talked about. Innovation is always in the past.
Yeah.
With that said, no, it doesn't work. You need to do you know it later if it was a good innovation workshop.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
True.
For me, that's
You
very
have a good
practical.
product. Yeah.
So number 4. No, this is from number 7. Can you evaluate agile maturity? Is that even possible? There's all these agile maturity evaluation frameworks. Do you remember the conversation?
I think so.
Was it possible?
I think I was negative, as I usually am. Maybe.
It seems like a negative, but I'm saying positive now. Maybe it's possible.
I'm all in. Of course you can.
It's just a measurement. Who knows? Who am I to say you can't?
Yeah.
I guess you can follow a checklist. Do you have a product owner? Are you doing Scrum? Are you having stand-ups? Do you have a board?
That's one thing I'm doing.
But actually, our viewers believe it's possible. So
Also, like my first impression of you was actually you measuring agile maturity within the teams.
Yeah, I know. I had some sort of managers that demanded that from me. Innovation managers, maybe. Who knows?
No, that was before you became the innovation director.
No, I know that was the first. I know that.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that very clearly to everybody else.
Yeah, I had this Grandmaster 4 levels. I had.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be rich with this certification. It was a very good training.
Yes, of course. Sell it, Jimmy.
Sell it to Jimmy.
Okay, I will sell it. And then I had one more prepared here. Is change management needed in an agile environment?
Yeah.
I just remember being confused about the word change management itself, but
I know, but Anders liked it.
I like it. I like change management.
Yeah.
I like all management types.
You love all management.
Innovation management, go. Change management, go.
So this is we have 7 votes on this one. So let's see. So 57, 43.
Yeah.
I wish we could have even more interactivity here, but
there are too many windows open at Jimmy's screen, so it's not possible for the moment.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Because I remember this discussion we discussed if change management as a project or a ad hoc thing was needed in an environment that was truly agile, like if it would be like more natural, it should be a natural state in an agile environment rather than if you want to push it or push for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a more natural state, but it still requires a little bit of skills around how to drive change or how to facilitate it in the right direction or
I actually think change management, or whatever we call change, being able to drive change, a little bit control or field control, is one of the most important and so many overseen skill and tactics you can use in organizations. So many times people just do things and like be shocked that happened, but everyone see that could happen. It's like so this is, if you do it right, it's so much easier. Everyone should be a change management.
Yeah, to be honest, it's the only thing I do in my work. It's like 99% of my time. So
that's what we ended up saying. It's just leadership, right?
Yeah,
I had a good epiphany in my younger days. I'm very old now, and I was like, everyone sucks in change management. I'm so good at it. I had my head. Then I realized I also frustrated about change, and I'm only liking those that I drive myself. And I say, now I'm going to drive all changes because I suck at it. So it's better controlling it instead.
Yeah. But that's the question about internal stuff versus pressure again, isn't it? Like we don't like when things are pressured. We like when it comes from within. So if somebody's really good at change management, they make you feel like it comes from within.
But I heard a quote: "Everyone loves change for the better, but as long as I don't have to change myself."
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's wrap this section up. And we've had one viewer question, so I'm going to use the timer on this one actually, since I think we have space for that. And let's see, it reads. Oh, this is tiny. Okay, I'll read it out loud. What best practices do you have regarding development of a complex product? We did a rough time estimate and some steps needed to arrive to a first iteration of a product. I guess if you're doing Scrum and Agile, starting the timer, one team, pretty simple. I guess Google Design Sprint, some prototyping, and the hassle starts when it's really, really complex, a lot of teams involved, and
So I mean, for me, if we're talking about a truly a complex product that you're developing, a huge part of leadership is to cut away as much complexity as possible, decouple problems so that you don't get dependencies between teams or dependencies between thing A needs to be built before thing B, or we have to change them in parallel, and especially ensure that you're not adding extra complexity. So if the product is complex in itself, don't add extra complexity by how you've built the organization or how you're managing the project.
I guess it depends on if this is a new product or not, but complexity, as you said, is about learning, understanding to reduce complexity and have the right people in, good people for doing the task and leadership. I think it's actually not that hard in many ways. You can do a lot. It's more that when things get really complex is when the organization grows, the legacy, the conflicts, the politics. That's the complexity of it. So keep it small and run it and train and learn. I think it's not that difficult.
I'm thinking that I might offer like a sideway perspective. So I work a lot with productifying HR services, and they are often very complex, like learning. Everybody wants to learn stuff. And I think having a product development perspective on those complex matters actually helps a lot to simplify stuff. And I think there are many like good design methods that can help you in like phases of discovery and insights and understanding that helps you to reduce complexity, to understand what those first steps are, like what problems do we need to solve first, or what value do we need to create first. So I take a lot of inspiration from design sprints to work in discovery when I have a lot of complexity to deal with.
But one thing that really radically changes things is whether or not you're a product company, you're owning your own future. So you're just you want to hit the market at a specific time, and then you're discovering and whatnot and prototyping and iterating. That's radically different from your delivering a solution to a client who's paying for it, and they have expectations, and they might ask for a huge complex solution, and they want some kind of guesstimate on how many sprints or months or man hours or weeks. A radically different trap to be in, and which is the case for, I think, a majority of people doing Scrum and Agile actually.
Well, I'm reading between the lines here, maybe. So, if you go back to we talked about pressure, stress. We talked about stakeholders, management. Like, I still think that's the complexity here. If you do it simple, the tech itself is the easiest part, I would say. It's very clear. You do that, you know what to do, and so on. So, you need to handle the stakeholders, the expectation, the impact, and those kind of things. If that's okay, the rest will be a smooth ride. It's not going to be. I'm not sure it's going to be successful. That's a different thing. But you're going to build it. But usually someone else comes in.
that's the problem of like, if you look at this question, if you zoom in a bit on like what is the complexity, like the complexity could be that you don't know exactly which value somebody is expecting. The complexity could be tech and the sustainability of tech and growth. Like
we have one more viewer question, which I would love to cover.
Take the next one.
I will take the next one then. Okay, cool. So let's see. So that one reads, this was a fun one. Thank you, Piotr, who sent this in. What makes you excited? What feels fresh now? Anders, or who wants to?
No, start with someone else.
Okay. For me, it's I'm more and more fascinated by the complexity of this entity called the organization and teams, and how they operate, intertwine, and how messy everything is. That's a lot of my mind today, on how the structure, the processes, the culture, the questions leaderships ask, and how all these different things plays together to either strengthen nice behaviors or just undermine and make it hard, and how yeah,
you seem super excited, man.
and it's also scary because it's also almost makes you give up. It's just everything is intertwined, and it's like an amoeba, which if you push here, it's going to pop up here, and so that fascinates me.
I really agree. I love to talk about complex problems in organizations, and it's more fun when it's close to like a real problem, not theoretical models. And it's exciting when you get the whole span of like how are we building an organization, what are our processes, who are the people, what's the product we're building, what's the technology, and you have to do all of them, and you can't just focus on one part. That's a lot of fun. But I don't see any, like it's not that many like theoretical agile frameworks or books that are triggering me right now, at least, that I probably am missing out on some great thinking out there. But.
So I also, it's funny, maybe that's our really common denominator in this team, because I also like the holistic view and the complex organizational problems. But
I'll see you topic for next time.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm excited about a specific thing right now. And this is actually a pandemic effect. But the good thing with the pandemic has been that like old crappy leadership has been really outdated, and a lot of organizations are looking now for better ways of working and living and breathing leadership and culture. So that is super fun, because that means that people are actually internally motivated to do something new. And then it's a perfect opportunity for me to help out when you are already motivated. And I think the fresh thing that has come to that is also the take on how we work with like what we for like 10 years ago only talked about as diversity questions, which I am really happy about. Now we talked about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So the span has become broader, and that makes it so much more interesting, because that's some heavy shit complexity to solve.
Yeah. What triggers you? What excites you?
In general, or in these topics?
What is fresh now? What makes?
I think, of course, I like when shit goes south or sideways, hit the fan. I think that's a great thing, a possibility to actually do changes. If you control it, it's a controlled demolition. People get scared, but you can do so good things in that mud and fix things. It's up in the air. It's very naked and good. I have Another thing is pandemic is interesting because I'm torn between this flexibility and like how so many people, like I would like to teleport because I miss my colleagues and friends. I hate to work at home. How can you not? I don't like to transport. And another thing is I'm seeing this, what do you call it? The might problem that all management decision makers hanging in the office and decide things. We see so we might see what do you call it that it will be harder for people to do promotions. So It's almost like the
Hot
new
topic.
sauna club, whatever, in the office, which
Yeah.
is a little bit dangerous, or you should be aware of it as a company at least.
Yeah, there are so many good research now on inclusion and equality research about what's happening, especially to the group of females, while as we have been working so much from home. So there are already, unfortunately, very negative effects in the
typical. It's so the structures is so deeply rooted, so even this follows the path that we've already been.
Yeah, when we come to crisis, we go back to old ways.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. It's going to be. I loved your phrase, Jörgen, a controlled demolition of our old ways, because now that we're all already entering or will enter the hybrid workplace, we're going to have to reinvent how we do things. Not everyone is going to be on site, even though we want to. There's always going to be remote things. So, and I'm not even trying to kind of forecast or guess what that future will look like. I'm just looking forward to experience it and learn from it. So, and it scares me a little bit also, because how will that look like?
I read a piece yesterday saying hybrid work has already changed where we're working. The next step is to change when we're working. So also shifting work in time. And I think that's super interesting.
So the timer rang again. So yeah, let's wrap this one up. And we're actually about to wrap this up, this episode in itself. So viewers, if you're on to Mentimeter, please share your key takeaways in the later slides on, what, if anything, did you take with you from our conversations? And did we say anything provocative or inspiring, or what did you agree or disagree with? Please share your thoughts. But let's do a round. What have we talked about? We talked about, I need to check my deck here. So the first question was, let's try juggle our memories. Who wants to start?
Manifesto?
Agile Manifesto, when we talked about levels of stress and pressure, and Scrum as a...
And hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's buzzing in your heads, people, friends?
Like I'm thinking about our common passion here about, complex big problems in organizations, and I'm connecting that to the question about healthy level of stress and pressure. And I like to play around with ideas and see how they can work out or not. And I'm thinking about these, all of these flows and interactions in an organization, and like how could we thinking about controlled demolitions as well, manage like those tensions, putting my interpretation on the word pressure, and use them, leverage them for good value building interactions and cooperation. Like that would be something that I would be really interested in exploring. Of course, that demands that you have like a lot of psychological safety in between people and teams in the core. But then if you have those foundations, how can you build on that with the help of the tension? How could you like facilitate those interactions to become very productive? I would like to do that. Call me somebody.
Jagge, what's buzzing in your head?
Good to get a wrap up how we thought a couple of weeks ago or months ago in these different topics. Otherwise, I still come back to the simple but complex and very effective framework of Scrum. I still think that's the best implementation of the Agile Manifesto so far. Use right, you can get a lot of basic in place. Other skills also. Skip the rest, whatever you call it. Skip those shitty frameworks. You don't need it.
All right. Anders.
I think I'm coming back to the stress and pressure one, actually. Weirdly enough, it's a pretty basic topic, but I feel like we always talk about stress and pressure as if they're really bad things, and there's always this like feeling that it's always like the micromanaging boss forcing you to feel stressed and pressure. But I mean, thinking back to myself, I like being triggered by work. I like feeling this like excitement about doing things, and a little bit of external pressure, or like feeling challenged and feeling like having higher expectations that I'm not sure I can live up to. That's nice. I still want to be in control over the like work-life balance, being able to disconnect when I need to. But I mean, and perhaps that's the key, like being in your growth zone. That's where it happens.
Being in control, maybe.
Yeah, what's buzzing in my head? Well, to build on what you just said, I think if you feel safe to engage in that goal, whatever it is, and it's safe to raise problems or say that this won't happen, I can't do this, I need help, then I think a decent amount of pressure is healthy, because it makes you strive. The other one that just stuck is controlled demolition. It sounds dangerous and fun.
But have you seen those buildings? It's like,
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Yeah.
I would like to work with that.
All right. Thank you, viewers. Thanks for watching. I hope you had a good time. And this was fun. And I was stressed about all the technology going on here, but this was a fun hour, and it flew by super quickly. So yeah, we might do this again, right?
we might. Yeah.
We might. All right. Have a great day or great evening, depending on where you viewing this from. All right. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.